One small insurance claim and suddenly your premiums jump, or worse, you get dropped. When it comes to insurance, most investors discuss trying to find the best insurance company, but once you have property insurance, how do you keep your premiums from skyrocketing? Welcome to Strategy Saturday. I'm Charles Carillo, and today we're breaking down Landlord Insurance, offering some tips to avoid claims and providing actionable advice to protect your rental and hopefully help you avoid massive premium spikes. So let's get started. Property insurance is something every rental property needs, and there are not too many ways to reduce your premium or minimize your annual premium increases. However, if your property does not have any claims, it is one of the best ways to avoid a significant increase, and it makes it much easier to search for a new insurance company if you want to explore other insurance options. Now, when you have a claim on your lost runs report, it can last 3 to 5 years, and it makes it much more challenging to obtain insurance. So let's talk about some common maintenance tips to avoid a claim at your rental property. Number one is dryer vent maintenance, and this is one of the most frequent ways in rental properties that there's fires. I've seen it on our properties. Also, we've seen it as well at properties that I passively invested in. It's one of the big things that when there's a fire, it's usually from the dryer vent. And you cannot be present every time your tenant uses a dryer, but you can request that they clean their vent after every load and make it standard practice to have a handyman inspect and clean dryer vents regularly. Additionally, make sure there's a smoke detector above every dryer. And the secondly part with this is that's if it's in their unit. If you have common area dryers, you should be looking at least once a week, having every time a handyman walks by the dryer room, the washer dryers, they should be emptying out those dryers. Number two is HVAC servicing. So I prefer to handle all HVAC servicing in-house, including filter changes. I know some landlords, they say to their tenants, hey, you handle changing the filters or, keep an eye on it, whatever it is. I don't want to chance it at all. And it ensures that maintenance is performed correctly, which includes changing filters, inspecting drain pans, and cleaning drains regularly. But these simple servicing tasks can minimize the chance of any leaks. Now, you might say, well, people will know if their AC stops working or if water's coming out of it. Yes, but if they're traveling, if they're not there, this is when those leaks can get really massive really quickly. And, just a day or two of if that AC doesn't turn off or something like that, you can have a serious leak that happens in that property that goes down into other units, and that's going to cost thousands of dollars to fix. Number three is water heater replacement. So don't wait until a hot water heater leaks or bursts before replacing it. Hot water heaters should be replaced at least every 10 years. And when you replace them, ensure that you write installation date on the unit and record this information in the property's notes for the unit. It is best practice to instruct your handyman to inspect the HVAC and the water heater every time they are in a unit. This is one thing that it's going to break. Like, you don't have to wait and say, oh, it can get another year out of it, get another year out of it. Once it does, you're not going to have your handyman ready to put it in. You're not going to have the best price on the water heater. It's going to be probably over the weekend or something like this. It's going to be extremely expensive. If you see them start getting old, change them. And when you're buying a property, make note of it. And this way you say, okay, this in the next 3 months, we're going to do this and this. We're going to do these water heaters. They need to be done. And these are important things because once that goes, you can have massive problems in your unit. And the thing too is that they might not even know, those tenants might not even know unless they go where that water heater is, that there's a leak. It might be there for weeks, a slow leak that's going through, especially if they're on the first floor and there's no one down below. So these are really important things that you have to take into consideration when you have these type of appliances and the maintenance that has to be done on. Number four is we're going to go outside and do tree maintenance. Now, trim and remove large trees that are near buildings, and these can become liabilities during storms. And this is especially important if you're in any type of storm-prone area. And furthermore, tree control will also assist with rodent control. So it's going to make it much easier for regular maintenance on the property. It's going to make it during storm time and after storms that there's not going to be issues. And it's also going to assist with rodent control. Number five is driveways, sidewalks, and stairs. And this might not be the first thing you think of when this could skyrocket your premium, but any type of real estate investors will know that, myself included, is that I've been cited before and had to make changes to sidewalks and stairs and driveways prior to having some policies renewed. And this is something that, because it's a lawsuit ready to happen, okay, immediately fix any issues with driveways, sidewalks, or stairs. And I mean, these are just breeding sites for lawsuits. No holes in the driveway, no uneven sidewalks that are tripping hazards or slippery sidewalks that could cause slipping hazards. You just want to be very careful with making sure that all the walkways are 100% easy to work with. And if you are in an area where it snows and you're having issues with like iced up stairs, consider adding some sort of canopy on it. You really have to make sure that all the sidewalks and the driveways are clear and they're safe and there's not an issue of tripping or slipping. Number 6 is fire safety. So check that smoke detectors function correctly on a regular basis and possibly add a fire alarm system at the property, which can save you on insurance. And it place also fire extinguishers in common areas. Now, depending on your municipality and the rules there, you might need for certain size buildings, you might require to have fire extinguishers there. And that way they put up the fire extinguishers and there you have to pay somebody like every year to come out and like sign something saying that the fire extinguisher is there and it's fine. But having these things and putting them in common areas and obviously putting them down where fires are really prone, like we were saying before, in laundry areas, these are really important places where you really need to have fire extinguishers. The fire alarm system, depending on how old your property is, if it's old, 50, 60 plus years old, it might be required by your municipality to start installing these fire alarm systems at properties over a certain number of units. It was with some older properties I owned years back, and we had to put them in one by one in the properties. But it was much easier dealing with, because it didn't have to deal with smoke detectors. It was all like one system and you didn't have to go around changing batteries or anything like that anymore. And secondly, we saved on insurance. So it did cost money to put in, but the thing though is that it saves you every month on insurance or every premium increase. Just make sure you're telling your insurance company when you make these changes or when renewals are coming, and make sure you have all the documentation from fire alarm and system installation people that you can just pass along to your insurance company. Every little bit helps. Number 7 is you're going to require renter's insurance. So always require your tenants to have landlord insurance or renter's insurance. And this will minimize claims against the property owner's insurance policy. And this is not just for if there's a storm. So a couple different problems that I've had before where renter's insurance helped was that when we'd have storage areas on the property and we didn't have them like, hey, this is just for this unit, and it was like a locking storage unit. It was just like, hey, you can put your stuff down in this basement or in this extra storage place we have over here. But the thing that was that if those got damaged, then we would be held liable. So it was one of the things is that everybody moved in, you had to have renter's insurance. We made sure that if you stored anything on the property, it is at your own risk. Right. And the other thing that's really important with renter's insurance, which I didn't really think about until one time years back, got sued for someone slipped that wasn't even a tenant. OK, someone slipped on ice. I don't even know the person's name, but they weren't even a tenant. The insurance company just cut them a check, how they usually do in these situations. But the main thing is that if this person had renter's insurance, it would pick up a guest would come up on their liability policy as a renter before it would make it onto the landlord's insurance. So these important things like this, you really want to know that you have in place, because the renter's insurance can be $200,000 or $300,000. Lastly, it's extremely important. Another reason for having renter's insurance is that for pets. So the pets can be huge liabilities. People don't know how to train pets. People don't know how to handle pets. Pets bite. So the thing though is that these 3 things, between people storing stuff, their own personal stuff on the property, people having friends over and guests, and also with pets, I mean, these 3 things really will narrow down the amount of claims that are going to get attached to your property, because they're going to go after the renter's insurance first, and if that's not big enough, they'll come after you. But the thing though is that most situations are going to be covered in that $200,000 or $300,000 or $150,000 that's in that renter's insurance policy. And if you have specific requirements, then what you can do is 2 things. You can find your own renter's insurance company, and they might give you actually a little bit of a kickback for new accounts, but you can also have what the plan needs to encompass. Okay, so you need to have $10,000 or $20,000 worth of personal belonging insurance, and then you have this much of liability insurance to go with it. And then they'll add you onto the policy to make sure that they just don't get it and cancel it the next day, right? So these are really important factors, but renter's insurance is one of the big things and one of the easiest ways of keeping a lot of claims off your insurance. And by implementing these tips, and property owners can really significantly reduce the risk and most common insurance claims, which over the long term will help to minimize annual insurance premium increases, along with allowing owners to price different carriers without any type of impediments. So I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Submit comments and potential show topics at globalinvestorspodcast.com. If you're interested in actively investing in real estate, please check out our courses and mentoring programs at syndicationsuperstars.com. That is syndicationsuperstars.com. Look forward to 2 more episodes next week. See you then. Have you always wanted to invest in real estate but didn't have the time, didn't know where to find the deals? Couldn't get the funding and didn't want tenants calling you? Since 2006, I've been buying income-producing properties in great locations that provide us with consistent passive income while we wait for appreciation in the future and take advantage of tax laws while we're waiting. And unlike your financial advisor, we invest alongside our investors in every property we purchase. Check out investwithharborside.com. If you like the idea of investing in real estate, if you like the idea of passive income, partner with us at investwithharborside.com. That's investwithharborside.com.
Nothing in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this podcast are limited to accredited investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure, subscription documentation, and are subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Syndication Superstars LLC exclusively.